Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Conscious Health podcast. We have my co host, David Ortega, and today we have a very special guest. We have Jacqueline Tobal, and she is our special guest. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. The episode today is titled The Power of Movement. And Jacqueline, since 1999, started with personal training and bodybuilding, transitioned to Pilates. 1 year later, she kept going from there. Opened up her first ever Pilates studio in Barranquilla. I don't know if that's said properly. I'm sorry if I've butchered that, in Colombia. And after working for 10 years on that, she went to New York and studied somatic movement therapy and became a dynamic embodiment practitioner. In 2021, she decided that she wanted to understand the body from a different perspective, and she studied massage therapy and got licensed. Her passion is body and movement, and she has done courses on sound healing, and she really finds comfort in helping people calm the nervous system. She lives in Miami and works as a Pilates teacher and a massage therapist and does many workshops for healing. So excited to have you on here, Jacqueline. That's amazing. Tell us a little bit more about your story. I mean, that's quite a transition from going personal training, bodybuilding, to where you are now. What a beautiful journey you've been on.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah.
Good. And yes, it's been so, I started my whole thing with, weights, and I was maybe 29 years old when I started. And so I saw my body change. And
Mm.
then I thought that was incredible. And from there, I started to get into, somebody had mentioned pilots. I'm like,
Yeah.
what's pilots? Oh, pilots. And this was like a long time ago. And then I figured out that it wasn't pilots afterwards when there was like really not a lot of internet. And I figured out that it was Pilates.
Mm.
And was going to there was only one person in Colombia I was living in Colombia at the time, that had a reformer and a Cadillac in there, and it was a garage. And I started to learn and I got hooked. And so I decided to study that. I always evolve because I want to learn more. I get, I want to know more about the body. I think that the body is such a great instrument for us, and it's amazing. I get really excited about the spine and the hips, and then so I just went on and on and on, and then I went into somatic movement therapy, which is really interesting to me because it's not only movement of your butt muscles and bones and joints, it's your blood and your everything that has to do with things that you don't think that move, oxygen, how it goes in, how it goes, like a lot of different other parts of your body that I never thought about. And then the massage therapy came back because I thought it was very interesting for me to move people while I was correcting whatever they were doing. I wanted to look at it differently. And yeah, and that's it. Right now I'm going a little deeper now. I'm thinking about food now, nutrition in a different
Mm.
sense, more of like an epigenetic type of way.
Mhm.
And yeah, I love the body. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I relate so much with that because I also fall in love with these benefits of exercise, and since I started practicing, I never let go, and I was introduced to that kind of exercise with aerobics with my cousin in the 90s also, and just listening to music, dance music, and doing the steps and synchronizing the body, all of those things. I think that it's just amazing, as you're mentioning, the way your body can repair your whole system, no?
Yeah, for
And
sure.
one of the questions that just came to my mind when you were talking about your journey was, what was the first things that you detected in your clients, or when you were curious for people to help them? with moving the body? What was that called your attention and led you through that calling?
So I had a teacher once um, that we were taught that people really don't know about their body unless it hurts.
Mm.
Mm,
And that resonated in me a lot because that's what happens with my clients. So one of the things that I try, it's very basic stuff because they don't they don't know. A lot of people just don't know or not aware of their body. They're not aware that their knee can straighten in a certain way or that they can bend it in a certain way. Like they just bend the knee. I don't know how to explain it. Like they only just bend the knee
yeah.
and they just bend the knee, but there isn't, if you tell them to do it in a certain way and they have to really connect with their body, a lot of people just don't know how. They don't,
Mm,
which is incredible to me. And that's what I like to teach. I love to teach
Mm.
awareness.
mm,
Yeah.
You're so right, Jackie, in the sense that we're so disconnected, not only from our bodies, but from everything, mind and body, spirit and body. Like we're so technologically connected, but yet so disconnected in so many ways. And I think you're so right in the sense that it's like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You don't even think about it. That's how incredible our bodies are,
Of
right?
course.
So, and I love the somatic aspect of it because I came at it from a craniosacral perspective.
Oh,
So, like,
cool.
yeah, so listening to the cerebral spinal fluid, and it was incredible the memory that is stored in our body as well, and the movement. Like, I've had clients that are like, I've been doing yoga and I just started crying. And I was just like, yes, you released a memory, you released trauma from your body. That's awesome. And she's like, oh, but it was
Yeah.
quite embarrassing. And I was like, no, I'm sure it happens all the time. But the somatic aspect of it for me was very interesting because when I did my training, they did a lot of theory and then a lot of hands-on. And I broke my fingers playing softball. And in one of the movements, because your body just moves on its own if it's in that space,
Yeah.
I just noticed my hand did this. And then I had the memory of being the ball hitting and my arm doing this. And that's what I released that trauma that was in there. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that works for our audience and from your perspective as well?
Well, for my perspective, really, I think that, well, trauma is
Hmm.
something huge in our
Yeah.
bodies. And I think, and really for me, it's something very complicated to really understand. Um, but so I try to work through the conscious first,
Hmm.
because your movement, for example, that you were showing the hand and the arm and how it went
Yeah.
because of the ball and that whole thing, did you know you had it?
No.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
didn't. So for me, it's incredible. Like one of the first things I ask my clients are when they're moving, because so the way that I work is that I use the Pilates machines, a lot of them, to guide movement. I mean, one of the great things I think that Joseph Pilates really did, apart from the whole method, is
Yeah.
inventing these apparatuses that can help and aid in movement, because they do.
Yeah.
And they can come over to me and say, okay, I feel this hip, something's going on in my hip, and I lay them down, and let's say we start doing very normal movements, not anything weird, no evil Knievel stuff, no Cirque du Soleil, just really normal, pull it down and up. And I start asking them, did you ever have a cast on your body? No. Did you ever da da da? No. Like I try to see, because there's something going on and I'm looking at their movement and there's something that's not right. And they just continue to say no. And then suddenly, maybe at the third, because it's not the first time you see them, by the third session, they're like, oh, like you, maybe it comes back. You're like, many years ago, I was playing softball and this
Mm.
happened. And so my shoulder, I'm like, there it
mm,
is. And I think
Yeah.
that people really don't remember. And I think that
Yeah.
it's very important for our body to teach our mind, not the other way
Mm.
around. And I think that
Yes.
somatics does that in a very, very interesting way,
mm,
where they are, like what's
Yeah.
going on with their body. Not only because I get a lot of, Am I sitting straight?
Mm.
I should know, they're very physical. It's not very, what's going on with the foot, whether I have the foot. It's, like just being very aware of how they're moving. And so when you start, I say that it's a puzzle.
Mm.
I can be with a client maybe 10 sessions. And by the 11th session, they're like, oh, I didn't realize I did that. And you've been trying to tell them since session 1, right? Look, you're doing this. Oh, and they're not in their body until they are.
Yeah.
But in a certain place, one place in their body, it's hard for them to really get the whole connection. It takes a long time to connect. It does.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that because, well, when you were telling that story about this girl that had a problem with the movement of her arm and her hand and those things, I remember my mother speaking about a pain in her knee just recently, and she had been having that pain for 2 weeks almost. And I asked her also, uh, did you have any accident that damaged that knee before? And I didn't remember, of course, her stories about the surgeries, and she had 3 times accidents in that knee. And I told her, well, that's the explanation, no? That's the explanation of that pain that is coming back. So you have to go back to the emotion of the accident and release that. Oh, I mean, write about that emotion, write about how you felt and all of those things, and try to release that out of your system, no? So
Yeah.
how do you help your clients to detect that they also store an emotion during these kind of uh, accidents, or even not accidents? They were maybe just playing or doing something, but they damage certain articulation or certain part of their bodies.
So what I've learned in the past, I don't know, I've been teaching movement in different types of movements, maybe 30 years. And what I've learned is that you cannot reach people with what I call the right brain.
Mm.
People are much more left brain than right brain because they are, because I think that very few people are really connected with, the right brain, the right brain. So I always start with them feeling, I really do start with the physical, definitely the physical. And then eventually, it's funny because when you teach the way that I teach, and it's one-on-one, right? And they start talking because you become a barman, like the psychologist. And they tell you their stories. And sometimes you're moving and they're not aware of what they're doing, and they're telling you their story. And then suddenly something releases while they're telling a story. And they're like, wow, did you hear that? And I'm like, no. But I know that something happened because you can see that I said, what do you feel? And so then we have that conversation. What did you feel? He's like, there was a click in the hip, let's say. Like, really? And how do you feel the movement? He's like, much better. But I don't go back and tell them, we were talking about that emotion, or you were telling me the story of, I don't, because I think that people are scared of stuff like that. That people don't understand really that there are these emotions that are stuck in their body unless I do a workshop where we work and people come and, you know what I mean? It's a little different because I'm trying to fix people physically, quote unquote. And so I start from the physical, and then maybe maybe I don't.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't. I do it in a way where it's very subtle, and they're not aware of that as much as their movement, because I feel it works much better and they understand it much better than for them. This type of work, little by little. I think it's It's like,
Yes.
what do you call it when you give with a teaspoon? It's like, yeah, it's like a
Yeah, spoon
teaspoon.
feed.
It's like a little teaspoon here and a little teaspoon there. And maybe you'll be surprised, and I'll have a workshop on releasing your nervous system, and they'll show up. And you would think that, okay, they want more. I think
Yeah.
that this type of work, you have to sort of like, I don't know, land very slowly in it. There's people that I mean, I've seen and I've taken a lot of workshops where really they go into it straight on and it works
Yeah.
for them in the way that they do it. I like to do it more where they understand the language of what
Mm,
they know,
Mhm.
mm,
and then I get into it like through the cracks and
mhm,
then let them make those decisions.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, how important is interpretive dance or dancing
Oh,
or
for
that kind
sure.
of movement, right? So, what are
Yes.
different techniques? So, there's dance, there's yoga, which is movement as well. What else could people do that is?
Well, there's authentic movement. There's
Mm-hmm.
well, what you do is, cranial sacral therapy, moving. There's a lot of different um, tools in
Yeah,
the somatic rainbow. Like
yeah.
there's Feldenkrais, and there's Laban movement anatomy, and there's Laban movement dancing, and there's Bartenieff basic six, and there's like tons and tons of different types. There's Bonnie Bainbridge Cohen, that I don't know if you guys know who she is.
Mm.
She does something called body mind centering, which works through when you're a baby, and they work through different patterns. It's patterning. I mean, there's so much out there, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that as somatic movement therapists, we have this toolbox. Now, I'm a dynamic embodiment practitioner, which means that I have this huge toolbox, and I learned a little bit of everything, and
Mm-hmm.
I just see which one works for me. I'm not
Beautiful.
only a Laban person or a Feldenkrais person. I have a little bit of each thing, and
Mhm.
you figure out which one works for you.
Love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Authentic movement is really cool. Like, I have never taught it, but I've taken the classes of authentic movement, and it's, oh, for sure. And there's prayer dancing, and there's a lot. But I'm a more a one-on-one type of person. My workshops are more about awareness.
Mm-hmm.
I just had a workshop on the hip and how to understand where the hip is in your body. I like to create awareness of their body. That's my favorite
Mm.
thing. I mean, I really want to teach people where they are in space, because I don't think anybody really understands what a pelvis looks like, what it feels like, how it moves your legs, how it moves your spine. Why does my spine hurt, but like, where is this connection? And that, for me, that's my thing. Like, I think that that's my biggest thing. I use these tools because they work, and it depends on who. Some people are more receptive to a certain thing, and others are more receptive to another thing. And it's in when I did a course on cranial sacral therapy, and I remember one of the first things that they taught us, and I think that I took it from there, was you have to meet people where they are,
Yeah, absolutely.
and that's what
Absolutely.
I try to do. I can't just,
Yeah.
Mhm.
because they'll
Yeah.
never call me back, you know.
Yeah, mostly for what you were saying, no? You were sharing that people are afraid of discovering also that something in their bodies is not working because they are storing something emotional, and not all people uh, are in touch with that part, no?
But I think that more than that, it's not working, it's that it's not what they want to feel. It's
Yeah.
not the way that they want to move. It's not that it's not working, it's just that so I have this analogy, which I always tell my clients. Even when they pull a tooth, when you go to the dentist and you get like something done in your mouth, even if it's nothing, you get something done, you have a cavity, they put a thing, you're sitting there an hour with the drill and whatever it is, you're in a certain position. your body, after you get out of the dentist, I'm giving you a sort of like a stupid example, but you get out of the dentist and you don't feel well, you get in your car and you're driving home, or you get into the bus or whatever, however you are going to go to your next place, and you're like, okay, you feel sort of weird. Well,
Mm.
you were at the dentist, but you don't know what went on. Like what? Okay, you get home and you're like, okay, but there's still, you're not 100%, even if it wasn't a big thing. So my take on this, and this is what I tell my clients, which is I love this analogy. Our body is like a river. Like, so in Spanish, it's called un caudal. I don't know how
Mhm.
you say that in English. So the river goes to a certain direction, right?
Yeah.
So it goes down the direction. And you're born and you go through your teenage years and here it goes, and you go through your adult life and here it goes, and then you start having trauma. You can call it traumas, like the dentist and I don't know, your tonsils and whatever it is that you did. It has to be major. What happens with the water in your body, like not in your body, but this is how I see it. You get this boulder that's placed in the middle of the river. So the river has to figure out how it's going to go around the block, the boulder, because there's a change. So
Mm.
it takes a while for it to learn how to go, to find its way again. And I think that that's what trauma does in the body. You have to figure out how to move your body around the trauma in a way that is going to be helpful for you to release in a different way. Like, it's like, I don't know, I always tell that to my clients and they sort of get it. They're like, oh,
Mm.
okay. I said, any small thing, because any small thing
Mhm.
changes, like totally, like the dentist, or even when you go to do your nails and they pick it too much and it hurts on the right, like small stuff is something that's going to happen in your body somehow. That's how
Yeah.
I view it. Did you figure out what caudal is in English?
Stream, probably.
Stream.
Stream, maybe a stream. Yeah, maybe a stream.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
was.
much nicer, say caudal. It sounds like something
Yeah.
like majestic.
More poetic
Yeah,
sound.
it is. A stream. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that actually makes like so much sense actually. And I've actually had a dental thing like that where I ended up going, I got an injection and then 2 weeks later, like you feel fine afterwards. And then 2 weeks later, I couldn't move my neck. And I just thought, oh, it's stress. Went to the physiotherapist, he did an adjustment, and that memory was there. I was like, ah, that's what you released. It was just like,
Exactly.
it's incredible because we do get those memories, right? But I
Yeah.
love that you call them like boulders in a stream or pebbles, because like even from a craniosacral perspective, they actually call it an energy cyst. And I've always seen it as a little pebble that's in the
Exactly.
fascia, right? That
Yes.
holds there.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's like it's okay for a little bit, but then it starts to become sore, and we need to release it, which is
Exactly.
important, right?
See, that pebble probably grows into a little bit bigger. And yeah, and
Yeah,
that happens to a lot of people that don't do movement.
absolutely.
People that just ignore, oh, it'll go away. I feel much better 3 weeks later. And then 3 years later, they're like, something's going on. Of course, that little pebble
Yeah,
grew.
Yeah. Now it's a rock.
yeah.
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 But we're so conditioned to ignore our bodies, though, because we just push through it, right? Because our bodies are so resilient. We're just like, I'll deal with this next week. And the body's like going, hey. And you're like, okay, I just 5 minutes, And the body's like, hey,
Yeah.
until it's
Yeah.
like stops you.
But the body's also like, it's resilient. However, it fixes itself with little band-aids.
Yeah,
So if you don't really, really attack
exactly.
that, and let me tell you, I have got a lot of stuff going on in my body that for me is like I'm trying to figure out, and it's sometimes hard, but it's there. I mean, I know that as anybody else, I have to release, as well as David said, like either traumas or I don't know. I mean, there's when our lives today, I don't know, it's funny because I was watching a show the other day in the 1960s, They were like in the 1960s, and everybody was like going crazy, no, the 60s. Oh my God, the world is going to end. And I'm thinking to myself, God, wait until you get to the 2020 somethings. You'll see what it feels like. Like, I think that our life right now is so full of anxiety and so full of,
Mm,
like you can't breathe type of thing. And I think that that really has become for us, especially that we're movement people, in our bread and butter. This is what
yeah.
we deal with people, and plus the transference we get.
Mm,
Natasha, I'm sure
yeah.
that you do. I mean, you have to have some protection, and with massage for me as well,
Yeah. Yeah.
because we absorb a lot of these types of traumas of anxiety, and then they get stuck in the body, and for you to move them, like massage is something that it's funny because
Mm.
I do. You guys like massages?
Oh, I love massages.
Yeah.
Yes, I love them too.
And it's funny because everybody asks me, so I want it hard. I want you to really dig deep and squeeze that out. And I'm like, I don't do that. And they're like, what? You don't? I said, no. They're like, so what is it that you do? I said, well, I don't do it soft, but for me, it's more important for you to release your nervous system while I'm massaging you than to create more stress by, like squeezing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't get that. And they come out worse. They come out like, oh, everything hurts. It's such a great massage, and everything hurts. It's funny. I think it's funny. Yeah, I think that it's, for me, today's world is more about
Yeah.
releasing stress. You know.
And
Absolutely.
I remember my last trip to the beach where I released everything and I was in touch with the ocean and just listening to the waves and not I really try in this trip not to read anything, not to listen to anything and just to be face to face with the sea and with my thoughts, and it was really amazing how my body start releasing all of that tension and a lot of information that you have in your head also because you try to listen to podcasts, read, watch movies every time, every minute you are doing something for that kind of overload system, no?
Exactly.
And that's why I think the theme of this year has been the burnout in many people because they don't even pay attention where is the thin line of doing what you have to do and overloading the system in terms of not giving space, as you mentioned, to breathe. Breathing is another thing
For
that
sure.
I think you have noticed in many people that they don't do it properly or they don't even uh, are conscious about it.
Yeah, I
No?
don't even think it's a thing of that they don't do it properly. I just think that they don't breathe.
Yes.
It's like they just period. It's That's where everything is stuck, and that's a good point though. That's how, when, well, Natasha, more about what you asked me about with my clients and how I see the breath gives me a lot of information where the breath gets stuck, and
Yeah.
usually that shows me where the problem starts from and comes from. Yeah, yeah, just breath for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's incredible. But that we're so like I think we're so conditioned. Like the other day I went for a walk to the river, and usually I just sit there and I usually try and listen to something, or I try and I was just like, I'm not even going to meditate. I am actually just going to sit and be in awareness. And it was incredible because it was just like that peace of just being by oneself. I think some people like we're so like we forget what that's all about with this technology, and we're constantly the need to be busy, which is incredible. But David, the burnout this year is going to be a big thing because if we look at Chinese astrology, it's the year of the fire horse. And what happens is that's movement, that's fast. So if you're going in the wrong direction or in a direction that's not in alignment, you're going to get there fast. And the way the body stops us is burnout, going, wrong direction. And I think that we're seeing a lot of that this year as well. You're right. You're right. And it's like Jacqueline was saying, if we band-aid it with meditation, we band-aid it with all of these things, and we don't get to the source of it, and then it just surfaces again, right? Which is
But I
important.
think that but I also think that that's our system. That's
Yes.
how we are. Like, I think that
Yeah.
we have this. I'm going through a difficult moment right now, and I've noticed that it's like you have all these tools in front of you. I mean, I'm a
Yeah.
professional. I know how to breathe, and I know my breath, and like I do my stuff, and even then,
Yeah.
it's like your body and your mind are playing tricks on you. It's against you because it's easier, I think, to
Yeah.
feel the same way. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it. Like
Yeah.
and people that have, that are going through that burnout, stay in that
Yeah.
burnout because it's, I don't
It's
know if it's
familiar.
familiar. Yeah.
Mm.
And it's like, it's better to do familiar than, okay, I'll breathe. I'll take that workshop. I'm going to go to the sound healing bath on Sunday. And then you get out, you're delicious for an hour and a half, 2 hours. You do your sound bath, you get in your car, and you're back into that burnout.
Yeah. I it,
Yeah.
thank you for mentioning that because I made me remember a class that I just gave during this month. Every month I give I teach a class for people here in Spanish, and I taught them about stress and the regulation, and I explained this connection with the body. And there is a term in the scientific world that is allostatic load, and it's difficult to understand, but this allostatic load is all of your body is under this stress, and it's like this pot, the pressure, the
Like a
steam.
pressure cooker.
Yes, the
Hmm.
pressure cooker. Thank you for the word. Yes, and the steam needs to find an outlet. And usually, when you are in these levels of burnout, sleep or during sleep is when you are supposed to release many of things. But that's why also people don't have they have a lot of problems to sleep, and they can't stop their mind, and they can't arrive to this kind of brain waves where they can return to peace, and the next morning is the same, and as you are mentioning, the next morning is the same. So
But it's very interesting because it's interesting that you brought up the sleep part. So there's a phenomenon happening now in sleep where it's such an important thing because now podcasts and all the scientists and all everybody's saying you got to get so much time sleep. You have to have the temperature at 65 degrees. I would die. 65 degrees to sleep, and you have to have I all these little
yes,
I
no,
can't,
yes,
and all
yes.
these little things, right, to sleep. And what's happening is people are sleeping, but they're not releasing. They wake up as stressed as they slept.
Hmm.
So I have a lot of clients that are starting to learn because they make it into a purpose. Now it's a purpose. You have to sleep. Before it was a purpose. Somebody said you have to sleep, and so everybody's sleeping, and they use their magnesium and their tea, or they eat at different hours so they can sleep more, and they are sleeping more. But it when they wake up, their muscles, their jaws. I have a lot of TMJs from
Hmm.
sleep, and they're like, "What's going on?" And it's what David. That's what you said. The pressure cooker, you're sleeping, but the steam, you're not releasing it because everything is holding.
Yes, yeah.
That's the real burnout that we're going
Hmm.
through right now.
But I think it's a little bit worse than that because I'm seeing quite a lot of my clients where that pressure cooker becomes the norm.
Oh, of
So
course.
so what happens is when you calm the nervous system, that is the unfamiliar.
Yes.
So that becomes stressful.
Exactly.
So it's the other way around. So I'm working on this project at the moment that I'm I'm working on a project to try and measure vibration within people, to measure our vibes. And I went down this rabbit hole of finding out what information is out there already. And there's a company that does monitors emotion and with a
Mhm.
watch, and they measure how quickly you come back to your baseline, right? So if you have a peak in emotion during the day, how quickly do you get back into your baseline? And when I was speaking to one of the reps about it, she said, well, one of the ladies, you would think that going for a walk in nature would calm her down, but it made her more anxious. And I was like, did you find out why? Because, and then I started realizing at the same time, I had a few clients that were so used to chaos, even in relationships. Like if you used to chaos and fighting all the time and arguing all the time, if you find a relationship that is peaceful, it feels unsafe because you're always waiting for the next shoe to drop. So that becomes
The
nervous.
norm
That
and the
becomes the
norm.
norm. And that's what we're trying to reprogram, right? And it's so interesting, even for us. I mean, me leaving South Africa, you're always like, where am I going to get attacked next? You know, what's happening? It's so subconscious in leaving your windows down for a little bit and knowing how far you are from a car, always having your car in first. It just becomes normal. It's just one of
Yeah.
those things. So when you're outside of that, it's still like, where's what? And it's like you don't
And
have to do
then,
that anymore,
yeah,
you
no,
know?
totally. And then add body consciousness.
And then add body
And
consciousness
when
to that
you
as well.
learn, like
Yeah.
because obviously, like you come from South Africa, I come from Colombia, and I
Yeah.
lived all my life looking over my shoulder and the same things,
Yeah.
the window, the whole thing. And then you
Yeah.
start going, okay,
Mexico.
let's work with our bodies to release the
Yeah.
stress.
Yeah.
And your bodies sometimes do not want to let go.
No.
And
Nope.
and to get there is a lot of practicing it,
Hmm.
and how does it feel good as well?
Yeah.
Because I think we
Yeah.
also forget our memory, especially in our bodies. Our
Yeah.
bodies are very it's like a trampoline. Our
Yeah.
bodies are like they jump up and down, but they don't know where they feel it's better. Is it when they lift up, when you feel you're going up, or is it that vacío, like the when you come down?
Yeah.
Mm.
It's very interesting. It really is. And I work
Right.
with clients that have that a lot,
Yeah.
because the world, I mean, everything goes, there's wars, there's this, everybody watches the news, which I have stopped watching for the
No,
last
I
three
don't watch the
years.
news. Yeah.
Yeah.
And well, because people want to be informed, and it's all about, what we were talking about before, we don't know how to just stay still. Don't
Yeah.
listen to
Yeah.
anything.
And people are afraid mostly. They are so afraid of changing something in their own routines because it works. I mean, the stress works, the pills work, the pain works for them, and they feel this instead of feeling safe in the peace and calmness, they feel safe in the stress and in the busyness. So that's the mindset that needs to permeate through
So
them.
that's why it's hard, and I get that, and I totally agree with you. That's why it's hard to try to, or for me specifically, to try to work with the body, because I think that the body can teach the mind so much,
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
much. And I think that if you work through your body in a certain way, you will get that, what David was saying about, that release. And then
Yeah.
if you do it many times, if you repeat doing it and you do it and you get it, and you start feeling a little better, and then you're like, oh, okay. And then you go back to that stress and you're like, wait, this doesn't feel good. I like the way that I was feeling when I left Jacquie the other day, when we were working on how to, I don't know, put my foot on top of the chair.
Yeah.
I like that movement. I like the way that it felt. But one of the things, or what us as movement people are, responsible for is to make them realize that if they lift that leg up onto that chair, it is a good feeling.
Yeah.
It's not a homework. It's not what you have to do. It's something that feels good. And I think that, and it's not a stretch, because I get a lot of, can you stretch me? I need to stretch. I'm really tight. And they're like, well, I'm not going to stretch you. We're going to move you and see if that works better. And that's how you have to come in and out with people. People are complicated. Bodies are complicated. And the mind and the body and that whole, I'm exhausted.
You're so right. Yeah. I was gonna say, like, I got criticized the other day because my mom, like, we lucky, I have like clothes hanging. I have a little garden, and my mom lives with me, and she likes helping out, so she does the clothing. And somebody said, "Aren't you gonna help your mother hang up the clothing?" I said, "Nope." I said I used to, but then I was like, nope, that movement of bending down and putting up, bending down and putting up, I'm like, that is helping her so much. I'll help in other ways. But that movement, like, I'm like, it's really working for her. I was like, I'm not
And
helping.
she might hate it.
She,
And,
she, but
but
she needs it. Yeah.
but probably when she gets back into the house and she's going to have that, tea, and she sits down in her
Yeah.
exhausted, she's feeling a good exhausted. She's like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
exhausted. I did the clothes. I hate doing the freaking clothes. What the heck? But her
Yeah.
body
Yeah.
feels calm.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Plus the tea helps.
Plus the tea helps. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same with me and my mother. She sometimes asks me for help climbing the stairs, and I tell her, no, you can do it alone. You can do it alone. And you can do it even without touching I don't know how to say
The
this,
rail.
The
the rail.
rail.
Yes,
Yeah.
the rail. And try to do it, because the more you practice, the easier it's gonna be for your body and for
Yeah.
your whole strength also. No?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So I have a very interesting story about that. So I do a lot of elderly clients. I do a lot of third generations, 80s, a lot of 80s. And one day I sometimes go to some people's houses, and I had this lady that was like, I want you to teach me how to go up the stairs, because I really want to try to use. So of course, here we go, physical, right? I want to try to use my arms and my legs in a way where I can go up the stairs. It wasn't a lot of stairs. Maybe they were like 7 steps. It wasn't that big of a hop.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay, and I asked her, what music do you like? And so she said, I used to do the swing. And I said, really, that's cool. I've never done the swing. I'm like, I meet people where they are, right? So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so let me see. So I got my cell phone, and I looked for a swing song, and I put in, I said, do you know this one? She's like, yeah. It's like, cool. And so I said, okay, let's leave the music on and let's go up the stairs, and let's do it like in a swing way. So how would you do it? I can't do that. I said, try. So if you put the right leg up on the first step and do a little swing, how does that feel? And so she does it, and and she's like moving, and she's like, huh. And then she's like, I don't know, this is too much. So she puts it down. I said, but that wasn't bad, wasn't it? It's like, okay. I said, try 2. I don't know. Maybe just do 1. Just do 1. And so we did this for like half an hour. And she got up to the 7th step. She was
Nice.
exhausted, but she was so happy, and she did not realize that she went up the stairs. I don't know how to explain it. Like, it went,
Yeah.
because she was it focused on the swing, an old memory, how she felt in her body when she was doing the swing 50, 60 years ago.
Yeah.
So that was very interesting how that happened. And I think that that's where we have to find the connection with people. Because, as I said before, we have to remember, our bodies have to remember.
Yes.
And I think that that's one of, like, music is a great way to do it. little kids, when you have like grandparents and grandkids, and
mm,
they sometimes forget that, because they love their grandkids so much, so they do a lot of other more things with their body because of their grandkids. So that's another way that you can get them to move differently, and they will feel, as your mom, exhausted by putting the sheets up, but their body's going to go, oh, delicious, it was
Yeah.
great. Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's great that you mentioned music because I
Mm.
think that music allows you to get into this flow. And that's the experience when you do something and you finish it and you say, where is the time? No? Or how did I get here so fast? No?
Yeah.
Say
Yeah. See, it's so that's when you get them out of
their
you
mind.
use another sense, but it's about senses as well, right? It's just
Mhm.
also another sense. There's a beautiful movie and a beautiful book, actually. It's a Mexican writer. She did Como agua para chocolate,
Uh,
and
Yes. Yeah.
she, like water for chocolate, and she
Chocolate.
wrote, and she has this beautiful description of smell.
Mm,
And the way, and one of the descriptions she had in this book was that her, I think it was her nanny or the main cook of the story, I don't remember who,
yeah.
had rickets or something in her hands, and she couldn't move them well. So, and she couldn't walk well. And she started cooking, and the smell
Mm.
got this woman into the kitchen in a certain way. And she describes this in the book, and it's
Mm,
it's it's a sense. So there's
Mm.
other senses that you can use to move your body, you know
yes.
and I think it's super important that we have all of these things, that we forget
Yeah.
that we have, you know for
Absolutely.
dealing with trauma or with movement, or
Mm.
all of that. I think it's really, really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot to say about. I think there's very much a space for talk therapy, but there's also very much a space for no talk therapy as well. And I
Yeah.
think both need to work together as well. The power of sound healing for one of them, power of movement, things like that tend to help. And it's like you say, using all the senses. I love that description,
Yeah.
because we heal with all the senses too. Like I'm also going through something with my shoulder, and I think it's that time of my age where I'm getting there. And it's just like, but it's been such an incredible thing because now when I look at the body, when something comes up, it's like, oh, what is it telling me physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually? Like, what does this mean? What is happening in my life? What is my body trying to tell me? What is that story that is trying to say? But again, I do more. For me, it's like for you working in with the body. For me, it's like, where do you feel it in your body? So for me,
Of
it's
course.
coming in the other way, but where it's in the mind. It's like, okay, no, bring it into the body. Like, where is it in the body? Kind of a thing. So that's beautiful, and kind of like looking at it from a very holistic perspective, which is quite beautiful. So
Yeah.
I
And
love that.
I'm working on a little project I have on the sidelines of I'm gonna do a sound healing
Mm.
through the five senses. So
Oh,
it's
that
gonna
sounds
be,
amazing.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna do taste, and so I'm gonna do, but all five senses and the four elements. So the first one I'm
Wow.
gonna do is earth. So,
Mm,
what does earth taste like? So I'm thinking that maybe chocolate,
mm,
dark chocolate, really earthy, or a tea full of all of those, green. The
mm,
music that it's funny. Is feel my son's a DJ, and
mm,
I call him up and I'm like, how do I mix one on top of the other without having? He's like, you go here. He's teaching me how to, do, because I want to do it with headphones, and I
Mm.
mm,
want to do sound bowls as that music comes in the background, and
mm.
vibration, and like a little bit of everything. I want to use all of the senses. I'm really excited to do this. I think it's really interesting for me.
There needs to be a lot more activities like that because we are certainly not using all of those senses at all.
For
No,
sure.
we use mainly one, which is the one that we rely on, and the others keep getting stuck. and also disconnected more and more from us, no?
Yeah.
So how could you wrap up these teachings that you give to people in terms of the body in, let's say, in 3 sentences or in 3 advices that you
Oh
can
boy. Um, well, I think you have to, my saying, I have you have to slow down to feel.
give? Hmm.
That's for sure, number one. And I think that just being aware of where you are in space using your proprioceptors um, as well. And yeah, try to view your body in a different way. I mean, it doesn't mean that if you can't cross your leg a certain way, you don't cross it well. No. Or that if you don't lift your arm as high as the person next to you, you're doing it wrong. I think that everybody is different, and I think that we have to respect that as well, and we have to respect that of our bodies too, because I think we also forget that. I'm very flexible, so I can do a lot of flexibility stuff, and the person next to me might not, and they're like, oh, but I did it wrong. I'm like, no, you did it you. I do it me, you do it you. It's fine. I mean, you can get to a certain place. You can't push your body to do more. And I think that that's also part of it, no? Really respecting your body and making sure you know where your limitations are and why they're there. Why
Hmm.
did you have your tooth pulled and your neck is, where did it come from? And if it's nothing like that, where are different types of traumas, which we were talking about before? Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Beautiful. And how can somebody get a hold of you?
Yeah. Mhm.
Well, I'm working on my web page. It's been coming
Okay.
along. It's been a slow thing. There's a lot. But you can find me in you could probably text me on my Instagram, which is
Mhm.
JACQTO at Hotmail, no, no, JACQTO.
Okay.
Instagram.
I'm
Yes.
not very technological, just saying.
No, don't worry.
That's all good. As long as people can get a hold of you, that's all good.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes. Yes.
Instagram JACQTO.
And we can add also that new website is coming, and that's it.
Yes, 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 for sure.
Okay,
All right.
perfect. Do,
Okay.
do you want me to add your email in the notes?
Sure. Yes.
Perfect. Yes. So I
Yes.
will add your email in case any people listen from the area where you are giving these workshops, because I
Yes.
think they are going to be really, really interested in the one that you mentioned about
Yeah.
the senses, and seems that it's going to be really big.
Yes. It's actually, I have an actual date. It's on the 17th of
Mhm.
June.
Okay.
It's at Kalos Music School. I'll send you that little link maybe, and you can put it in your
Yeah.
notes.
Mhm.
And yeah, hopefully it'll come together. I'm excited.
Perfect. Thank you, Jackie,
All
for
right.
this.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. Thank you, Natasha. Nice to meet
Thank
you,
you.
David. Nice seeing you again. I'll go
Yes.
visit you David, I like where she's much better than where you are actually,
You
because
can
I
Yeah,
really
I
come.
love
know. I know.
Scotland.
Yes.
You can come. Come, come, come. I'm actually doing a paternal retreat in October. So come, come, come.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. All right.
Thank you, Jacqueline. It was
Thank
so
you.
lovely
Bye.
to meet
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you, everyone, and we will listen to each other on our next episodes. And as we mentioned, you can reach out for Jackie at her Instagram account and at the email. And also, if you are close to her, please go to this workshop because I think you will be amazed. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.